All right, so my questions aren't as deep, but I just have questions about the costume that you wore in Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior.
Uh-huh.
And anything at all you could add about your experience with the costume, or um, any of the parts of it, what you remember,
Right,
and also in Mad Max 3 as well, and anything you can add about Norma Morrisseau.
right. Well, Mad Max 2, um, with my experience with Norma Morris, I was out of my depth. Like, this was the kind of movie that was beyond my imagination when I started. And when I first went down to the production office before we went out to Broken Hill to shoot it, there were all these huge machines. I had to sort of walk my way through all of that. Um, so all this, throbbing energy going on, lots of leather, and it looked quite formidable to me. Then talking to Norma Morrisseau, who seemed quite sure of herself, and I just had no idea this futuristic thing. And she talked about, oh, you're going to wear long johns. I thought, oh, long johns, yeah, but we'll dye them. They're going to be this colour. I thought, oh, okay, all right, okay. And we want to dye your hair yellow. And I thought, oh, okay, whatever. And then, but the more she talked about it, and the more she described it, the costume, I realised I kind of started to take it all in, and then she started asking me questions. She said, look, and that's where this backstory stuff becomes important, because she said, look, what kind of guy do you see him as being? And I just mentioned exactly as I mentioned before, that he was that kind of sort of amoral character. Maybe he was a kind of a very rather opportunistic person, human, but at the same time maybe an used car salesman or sold bad real estate. But as I said, look, I think he's found ways to survive out there, and I think he's a loner. And so we worked on, I think I had a spanner. I had little tools, etc., that dangled in my pocket. I don't know if you ever see it in the film. I had a can opener. I don't know if it's there with the dog food. I don't know where it is, but I had a thing for opening cans. I had sort of gadgets, etc., because I thought I need to survive out there. And that's when she started to say, righto, okay, and she was sort of bringing my imagination into it, but essentially Norma Morrisseau, that's her design, and that's how she saw it, and I owe her for that. So when it came to Mad Max 3, we'd established a relationship, we had confidence in one another, and she told me what she had in mind and the kind of look that she wanted, and I sort of suggested a few things. I think I suggested a Freemason's apron, or I talked to her about that decoration, but she used the Freemasons in the way that she chose to. But we talked about images and strange sort of icons, etc. She may have also talked about the idea of the Freemasons' apron, etc. But because we at first it was going to be all white, and then we thought, no, he needs something on him. It's something kind of mysterious and maybe found, something that he's found, and that's what we went on. But really, it was her genius. I owe most of that to her, and she was just wonderful to work with. Sometimes when I'd come and go for a fitting, and I said, "Oh, it's a bit." She said, "No, it's going to work. It's going to be okay," and she was always right.
Nice. And you had a sort of your character, the Gyro Captain, was always sort of civilized, and you had the napkin or serviette in your pocket to wipe your mouth with, and
yeah, that's right. The serviette, it was sort of like a contradiction. He's really he'll eat with the maggots if he has to, but at the same time he'll do it genteelly. I think that was the word we used. He could be genteel. He had his habits.
and were the costumes comfortable? Did you have any issues with those?
No, they were comfortable, all right. The only problem was the evenings, whenever we did night shoots, and some of the days too, in Broken Hill, were very cold, so we were freezing. But look, that's the nature of filmmaking. God Almighty, you're always doing winter and summer, and summer and winter.
Yeah.
Same time.
Just a very last word. Do you know about the Mad Max Museum in Silverton?
Yeah.
And what do you think about Adrian Bennett's work and achievement?
Look, well, regarding the museum in Silverton, I'm bewildered by it. when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, no, you know, but I sort of balked at it. I sort of felt uncomfortable about it, but in the sense that I thought, oh, why go over these, why crawl over these, you know, these old dead coals? But now, the more and more I become aware of it, especially at this convention here, that film has endured so sharply in people's minds. I'm just overwhelmed at the impact that the Mad Max films, especially Mad Max 2, have had on people and still sit there in people's imaginations. And like there were so many young people coming today that, you know, that are still impressed by Mad Max 2. And so now I've sort of, you know, come to the conclusion, yeah, okay, he's right, that it is a film that resonates strongly with so many people. It's like, and it is one of the old great classics. Personally, I love watching the old classics, but my classics go back to the 40s and the 50s and the 70s, etc., and the 60s, etc. But now I have to realise I've got to update it. There are classics from the 80s now that are equally as good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Thanks.